Science is not the issue. It is the culture. We are operating in another people's culture. We eating other people's food. You see that? We're taking other people's medicine. We're following other people's gods, or what you would call religion, and we wondering why we out of our minds. We're out of our original Aboriginal African minds, and we're in the minds of Europeans and other people. And that's why we don't have no peace. We don't have no identity. We don't have no language. We don't have no land. We don't know who we are. We identify with the color of a crown and shirt. We call ourselves black. Then you'll say you're African American, which is 2 continents. Who are you? If you ask Italian, he's going to say, I'm Italian. I speak Italian. I'm from Italy. You ask a Japanese, I'm Japanese. I'm from Japan. I speak Japanese. A Chinese, I'm from China. I speak Chinese. I'm Chinese. Soon as you ask a so-called black person who they are, they're going to say, I'm African American and I speak English. We don't know who we are. So since we don't know who we are, and you strip the nationality and the identification of a people, you can tell them who they are. And that's what's been told to us. So I'm just here pulling the curtains off, saying they lying. They'll send you to the doctor right now. You go to the doctor, they will treat you like a 40-year-old Caucasian man. What about a 14-year-old so-called African-American woman? She goes to the doctor right now, and they will treat her like a 40-year-old Caucasian man. That is their stat.
Unless she's in pain.
That's their statistics.
Then they will tell her to hold on.
You see what I'm saying?
Let's see what happens.
So
she can handle it.
We just have to understand that we're biologically different. That's why we look different. You know, people push the narrative that we're all the same. It's one race, and that's the human race. And that's just not true. Biologically, it is not sound, and it doesn't make sense. For one, our skins are darker, meaning we have a dark pigmentation more than other people. And that's selenium and melanin and built up carbon in our skin. Our teeth are smaller than theirs. You know, I mean, it's by micrometers, but if you measure them, it is. On an average, our teeth are smaller. Theirs are sharper than ours. When you even look at our brain size is different than theirs. Our bone mineral density, talking about our melanin content in our minerals, we hold more minerals than them. Our bones are heavier than them. Like when you actually look at us, our skulls, this is the reason why somebody can die and decompose. They can go dig up the body, and based off of their femur bone and based off of their DNA, they can tell whether they're so-called white, so-called black, Asian, Chinese, and all these other different types of what they'll call race of species, because we are molecularly and biologically different than any other race. So if I'm different, if my molecular biological structure is different, if my melanin content is different, if my minerals is different, even my electrolytes and how it roam around through my blood is different, if I react to the environment different, if I can take the sun more than other people, you take the sun, you get cancerous causing agents, I take the sun, my melanin eats the sun, and I get energy from it. That means that the geographical location is different. If the geographical location is different, that means that the food is different. If the food is different, that means that the medicine is different. And if the medicine is different, that means that the water is different too. So that's all I'm bringing to the people. I'm just trying to wake the people up and show them just because we different don't make us better. That's another topic. But I'm just saying we different. And since we different and we are a different species, even our organs is different. Everything about us is different than everybody else. And if you look into the animal kingdom, you have something called the fowl kingdom. In the fowl kingdom, you have birds that eat nothing but meat. Hawks, vultures, eagles, they eat meat. But then you have parakeet that eat fruits. Then you have another bird called the hummingbird that eat nothing but sweet honey nectar. It likes the sap of trees. It's still the same classification as a bird, but depending on the geographical location and the size and the content, the biological content of that bird, guess what? It eats different foods. Same thing with the feline kingdom, same thing with all these different kingdoms. So just because it's a bird don't mean that it eat the same food. Just because we all consider ourselves humans don't mean that we eat the same things. We are sick because we're operating in other people's culture and we're using other people's traditions, and then we're blaming it on genes and everything else. No, that's not the genes. Just your mother and your grandmother had hypertension and you got hypertension because y'all all eating the same food, the same soul food that is killing and taking your soul. So I think that we need to establish who we are as a people. Then once we establish who we are as a people and we find our true culture and identity, when you tap back into that culture and identity, you will see that the literature is lying. All of us didn't eat meat. First thing they want to say is, well, we go back to hunters and gatherers. Says who? Says the books that you was reading that was written by your oppressor. Like, show me that. without your oppressor telling you that. And then show me what meat eating have done for us. Now, I see a bunch of Europeans on the carnivore diet and they're thriving off of it. I see it. They're losing weight. They're kicking their body into ketosis. They're gaining muscles. The actual neurological functionings and cells are firing off. They think quicker. They're getting rid of the brain fog. But you take that same specific diet and give it to a so-called African American, or who I'm going to call an Aboriginal melanated being, they get sick. Their body sets up in putrefaction. They get worms off of it. Diabetes mellitus and hyperglycemia sets up. Their blood pressure and hypertension go up off the same food, showing you that we're biologically different. All I'm trying to do is wake my people up and say, hey, we've been lied to. We've been bamboozled. We've been eating another people's food. We've been worshiping another people's God. We've been drinking another people's liquids. It's time to wake up and find our own. And if we can't find our own, we need to go into nature, see what we closely assimilate with, and we need to rebuild the culture. And that's it.
Did you see the video that was circulating of the prime steak?
Yeah.
It was raw and it was bleeding.
Yeah.
And they were talking about it cost like $70,000 and this is the way you're supposed to eat a steak.
You are supposed to. If you don't eat a steak bleeding, then why are you eating the steak? Because the blood is where all the phytonutrients set. When you look at the body is made of 150 trillion cells when it comes to so-called black people. When it comes to Caucasians, their body is made from 50 to 70 trillion cells. When you look at Asians and Mongoloids or Mongolians, their body is made from 70 to 100 trillion cells. So even when you're talking about the content of the cells that make up the full human body, even the range of cells is different. We have more cells than anybody else. We actually go through cellular mitosis more than anybody else. Our cells can divide before they die and rebirth themselves more than anybody else. That's why we have such adaptation cells than anybody else. So we can adapt and live in any climate and adapt to it because of the way our cells are and the melanin content and the carbon that we have built up. So even when you look at that, if you look at meat eating, the body is made of 150 trillion cells. You have three functionings in the body. The blood. The blood is what feeds the cells nutrients. It feeds the cells oxygen. And it goes through exchange, where exchange oxygen for carbon dioxide, and then you exhale that carbon dioxide, and then the plants breathe in that carbon dioxide, and then they exhale oxygen and give you oxygen. So you have the blood, which feeds the cells all the phytonutrients and sugars that it need. Then you have something called the nervous system that commands the cells and tells the cells what to do. Then last but not least, you have something called the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is the sewage system of the body. So if all of the phytonutrients is in the blood and only a little nutrients is in the tissues, because once it goes into tissues, it goes into the cells, then the cells burn it up and utilize it. Then it produces some type of lactic acid or carbonic acid, sulfuric acid, some type of acid or byproduct come from it. So that means potentially all the nutrients is in the blood. Why would I get a steak? This is how you know that we're not meat eaters. Why would I get a steak, drain it of all the blood where all the nutrients at, then cook the rest of the blood within the tissues of the meat, then eat it? And we know that so-called black people love their meat well done. You're not getting none of the phytonutrients. What you're getting is utilized proteins, and you're getting utilized minerals, which the body really can't do nothing with. So
is eating a steak, a raw steak that's bleeding, that's the proper way to eat a steak?
That's the proper way to eat.
Is it good for the body?
That's a proper way to eat any meat if it's raw and it's bleeding, but it's not the proper way for a human to eat it. A proper way for a human to eat it is not to eat it at all. But if you look, not to eat it at all. No, I don't. I haven't ate meat in like 15 years.
You don't know what you're missing.
No, I know what I'm missing. I used to eat it all the time, and I ate steak, bison, lamb. I come from a Hebraic community. My mama Muslim. My father was Hebrew Israelite. So I come from a very, very meat-eating religion and meat-eating culture. We had whole lambs for Passover, and we drained the blood and everything, and we ate the whole lamb. We had bison. I done ate some exotic meats that I can't say on here because it's actually illegal. So I done ate a bunch of stuff. What I realized is I had a heart attack at 21, man.
That's what I was about to ask you about. It. Did that have something to do with the meat consumption?
Yes, because meat, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, and weed, all of that accumulated, and I attacked my heart. But this is what I'm saying. Once I stopped eating the meat, I was able to regenerate my cardiomyocytes cells. They say that you can't reproduce those cells. They say once the heart cells die, that's what it is. And they say the same thing for brain cells. But I regenerated my cells by not eating meat. That's what I'm saying. So other people can eat meat and they will thrive off of it. But when it comes to so-called African American people, it don't do us any good. And the proteins is killing us. This protein myth is killing us. They say that you need protein for this many grams of muscles. And no, we need amino acid structures. And this go back to what I'm saying. Eating meat in its raw state is the best way to eat meat. But us as a so-called African people, we're not supposed to be eating meat because it doesn't does the body good.
What about fish and shrimp?
No, not fish, especially not shrimp. Shrimp is full of defecation. Shrimps is made to clean the ocean. If y'all keep eating all the shrimps and eating all the catfish out of the sea, then what's going to keep the ocean clean for the ocean can give us planktons and give us oxygen. A lot of people think most of the oxygen come from the trees, but majority of your oxygen that you breathe in actually come from the ocean.
No lobster.
No. Lobster is a sea. That's a sea monster.
God, man, I'm down for change.
This is
man,
what I'm saying.
God,
I just want you to look at. So you're not supposed to eat anything that's. Why would you eat a bottom feeder? Would you eat a cockroach? That's a shrimp.
Depends on how they cook it.
But you funny. A cockroach is the cousin of a shrimp. So a cockroach is a land shrimp. A shrimp is a sea cockroach. Same family. They got the same last names and everything. Same thing as a crab and a spider.
What's the last name?
I can't think of it right now. And I don't want to say nothing wrong on here because they love to tear me apart.
Yeah.
But if you look it up, they're in the same exact family. The spider and the crab is in the same exact family. What we have made basically the trash cans of the ocean and the trash cans of the earth are a delicacy. But this is the same thing that happened in slavery, where they gave us a pig and gave us the most nasty, horrendous parts of the pig, and then we turned it into a delicacy, like chitterlings. What is amazing about eating the intestines of a pig? But we turned that into a delicacy. We put all of our seasonings on it. You know, that's causing all types of tapeworms, hookworms, fluke worms, Fasciolopsis buski. Think about the things that we actually, and then you think that it's romantic to take, and for one, we're not Roman, so we can't even say we're romantic. There's nothing Roman about us. That's Greco-Greek language. I'm just trying to show my people we're in a different culture, and I'm trying to show it without them thinking I'm just being racist, because I'm not. I have white friends. I have white business people that I do business with. That is not the issue. The issue is monkeys play with monkeys. Gorillas play and socialize themselves with gorillas. Polar bears would never, Dr. Sebi said it, you would never catch a polar bear fraternizing and eating with a gorilla because they eat two totally different things. That's all I'm saying. You would never see a gorilla send its gorilla cubs to polar bear school. So we're letting other people teach us. We're letting other people give us spirituality. We're letting other people feed us. We're letting other people clothe us. And it's not our culture and tradition. And this is the reason why I'm having the problem with the very same people that I'm trying to heal and help. Because they're operating out of a European mindset and not out of an Aboriginal or African mindset.